I honestly don't think Hell of a Boss Season 2 couldn't have started in a better way. Part of me thought with how emotional the last episode was, they'd maybe want to ease our hearts a little and do a more lighthearted episode to start the season. Nah, homie. Bring on that generational trauma and daddy issues. It fuels my soul. This episode gave the viewers a much larger insight into both Stolas and Blitz's characters, but especially Stolas. We're introduced to Stolas as a child as well as his father Paimon, aka one of the several Goetia kings in Hell. We're able to tell just off the first interaction these two have that Paimon isn't the best father in the world, clearly caring more about his status in the Goetia family than having a relationship with his children, i.e. not even remembering Stolas' name until the imp servant reminds him because he just has so many kids. Stolas is granted his signature grimoire by his father being told to study the skies of Earth as well as their prophecies, eventually passing down knowledge to his subjects. Stolas is very eager to make his father proud until he's told he's going to be involved in a arranged marriage with Stella, who by the looks of it has been nasty since childhood. Not gonna lie, they did a really good job at making me dislike Stella more than I already did. Before this episode dropped, parts of me felt bad for her because I had just assumed she and Stolas were at least somewhat happy at one point before he started hooking up with Blitz on a regular basis. Hell, they even had a kid together, but it's clear that in Stella's eyes, this was just purely a business relationship and wasn't afraid to shit on him relentlessly behind his back or to his face for damn near no reason a lot of the time. Making fun of how he performed in bed, things like that. It makes her rage towards him in episode 2 feel a lot less justified in my opinion. Why did she care that much if she never even liked him in a romantic manner from the get-go? The math doesn't seem to be mathing in that woman's head. Stolas wasn't very happy about this arranged marriage, so to cheer him up, Paimon decides to take him to the circus. Presumably Lululand or something similar to Lululand. The parallels from this scene and the circus scenes from episode 2 were quite interesting. Paimon taking a young Stolas here just like when Stolas took Octavia there, and both kids involved were not very pleased during the performance while the adults got all giddy with excitement. Big difference here is Stolas was physically with Octavia at the circus while Paimon was watching through a mirror due to not wanting to be around people lower status than him. It's obvious Stolas hasn't been taking too many traits from his father's parenting style, which is a good thing. The circus trip is also where a young Stolas sees Blitz for the first time, performing with Fizzarali. Stolas being the only one in the audience to find Blitz's improv balloon animal act funny. Sadly, Fizz was able to easily upstage him when he made a full balloon horse instead. Fizz didn't really take away from Blitz's act in a dickish manner though. He was civil about it, which is kind of the opposite of how he acts in present day. So I think it's safe to say that whatever happened between these two was enough to change Fizz's mindset on how he even felt about Blitz when they were kids. Like some switch just went off in his brain to think, hey, wait a minute. This guy was ass the whole time. Blitz had obviously been at least somewhat jealous of him since childhood. I think it's pretty obvious. Kid Blitz even says later in the episode that he wanted to own his own circus someday, which is what Fizzarali ended up accomplishing, and then some. Eventually, Paimon goes to the back of the circus to meet with the head imp, aka Blitz's dad, about being able to purchase Blitz. Blitz's father uses this as an opportunity to rob Paimon's house of all of its treasures just using Blitz instead of himself. Blitz is against doing this at first until his father guilt trips him about needing to help out his mom, even giving him the puppy dog eyes. Needless to say, neither Stolas or Blitz had very good father figures growing up. Though it seems Blitz in particular took more after his own father than Stolas took after Paimon. Blitz's father seems like an incredibly greedy bastard who's only in it for himself, which is kind of how Blitz turned out in the future. I mean, Blitz has a bit of a conscience, but, we see in present day how he treats Stolas. A lot of the time, he just, uses the fuck out of him for the grimoire. No pun intended. Though deep down, he does just want to be loved, I think, as shown when he tries to kind of live vicariously through Millie and Moxie's relationship and, when he broke down into tears looking at a picture of his sister and his mother. And Millie and Moxie probably have one of the healthiest relationships in all of Hell, so, I mean, it's a good, couple to live vicariously through if you want to choose one. The two boys enjoy a bit of a playdate together while Blitz simultaneously steals a bunch of the treasured handoff to his dad. We then cut closer to present day where Stella is throwing a party in celebration of not divorcing Stolas, essentially wanting to be praised for putting up with him for so long, when in reality he's kind of the one putting up with her. During this party, Blitz is found by bodyguards trying to sneak in because he wants to take Stolas' grimoire, and this is the day Blitz gets his hand on it for the first time via seduction. I also want to point out this neat detail from when the two of them walk to Stolas' room. All those paintings on the wall, Stolas looks pissed in just about all of them except the one where he's with Octavia. She truly is the saving grace to come from he and Stella's marriage. To make a My Hero reference, Stolas is kind of like the opposite of Endeavor's old self, and it's in the sense where they are both married to someone out of an arrangement rather than love. However, Endeavor was having his wife birth children for the exclusive purpose of having them become stronger than All Might in the future and didn't really have an emotional attachment to them back then, whereas Stolas had Octavia to take over the throne one day, but truly loves her like a proper father should. Blitz succeeds, leading to the same scene we saw in the pilot episode with Blitz landing on top of Octavia's tea table telling her he fucked Stolas. We then cut to present day, presumably the same night Blitz dropped Stolas off from Ozzy's, waking up from being passed out drunk. He then breaks out into a depressed song. This was probably my favorite part of the episode. Stolas essentially sung about how he's in an existential crisis and trying to come to terms with how what he and Blitz had was never that real from the start. During the song, he picks up a book by Asmodeus opening to a page about Asmodean crystals. There was a shot that specifically stays on this page after Stolas throws the book onto his bed too, leading me to believe these crystals will have some kind of significance in the future. Perhaps these crystals are used to make someone more physically attracted to another person, you know, with Ozzy being the king of lust and all. Just food for thought. Once the song concludes, Stella comes in telling him to keep it down in a very nasty tone. This leads to Stolas going off on her once and for all, telling her the only reason he put up with her for so long was so Octavia could have a somewhat normal life. But now that she's 17, he's ready to throw in the towel and get a divorce. Something that had me thinking some more was when Stella brought up the Goetius family's reaction to their divorce, specifically her brother Andrelphus. Hopefully I pronounced that right. A bit of info was given on this character as well as his design was shown prior to this episode releasing. He was described by Viv as Stolas' shitty brother-in-law, so it's likely the two of them never really got along. But I have a feeling this guy has to have a pretty high standing in the Goetia family, potentially even higher than Paimon's. You know, for Stella to bring him up specifically as if he's the person to be most worried about makes me believe that to be the case. I'm hoping we won't have to wait that much longer before we can see this guy in full animated glory. After Stella walks off, the episode ends with Stolas looking sadly into the sky. Let me know in the comments below what you thought about this episode, as well as any other theories you might have regarding future events. I would love to know your thoughts. Of course, if you enjoyed this video, be sure to leave a like down below. It helps out a ton. But for now, I will see you guys next time. Peace out, take care, bye-bye.